Hello and welcome. Today we're going to learn how to build a few really simple spells in Magick so that we can learn the basics of how to use this otherwise seemingly complicated tool. So to start, I'm going to walk you through some of the environment and some of the nodes that you can get familiar with, because once you get familiar with the basic nodes, you can start doing quite a lot. To start, we're going to pull up an onMessage event. So that's an event. It's going to start with a specific event. It will be a message that comes in, like so whenever we type in a message, something will happen. For that, we're going to choose Magick onMessage. There's also a Discord onMessage as well as a Slack onMessage. There will be more in the future, but for now we'll stick with Magick because that one is a bit more generic. It also can send to Slack and Discord, but if you want more specific features in Discord and Slack, then you can choose those nodes as well. But the Magick event nodes will be able to respond in our test environment. For example, if I say hi, you'll see it light up, which shows that it's receiving something. The next thing we're going to need to do is kind of the meat and potatoes of being able to use Magick, which is a generate text node. That's a specific action that's happening. So we're going to look for the generate text Magick node. Alternatively, you can just start typing generate and it's going to be the first one that shows up. Once we have a generate text node, this looks a little complicated, but it's the main things that you need are very straightforward. Whenever you select a node, it will show you its properties. And in the case of a generate text node, it will show you what LLM we're going to be calling large language model, also known as LLM, is basically a call to an AI. So this one will be calling to OpenAI GPT 3.5 Turbo. We can change it to GPT 4 if we want. Or we could use something like Gemini or Anthropic's Opus or Sonnet or something like that. For now, we'll just leave it at GPT 3.5, just for these examples. And then finally, we're going to need a node that is sending a message back to us. So for that, we're going to look up the actions and we're going to get it to send an action, which is sending us a message. This is a Discord send message. We're going to look for the Magick send message, again, for the purposes of having it be more generic. Now, we have these three nodes, but they're not connected. So the way to connect them is through the white node sockets. We're going to string them together so that whenever the white lines connect, that's the next in the chain. So we'll connect them just like that. And then we're going to need also the content from the message that comes in. We're going to need to go to a prompt. So instead of typing in a prompt, we'll just use our message as the prompts. And then the response to move over to the content of the send message. So that our message will come in, we'll say, hey, what is the color blue? It will make a call to the LLM, and then that will be the prompt for which the response will be the message we get back over here. And so that's a very basic chatbot. You can talk to different LLMs this way. And if you want to try a different AI model, you can change it to, let's say, Anthropic's Sonnet. We'll send the same message and see how it responds in comparison. Wow, so look at that. It gave us a very different, more elaborate response. And this is where it can be fun to play around with different models and see what they do. One of the most important things to know about the generate text node, besides which model you want to choose, is some of these things are important. System we'll touch in a little bit, same with messages. And then the other ones that are worth noting are the temperature. This is a number between 0 and 1. So the lower the number is, the more specifically accurate it will be to its prompting, whereas the higher the number is going to be a little bit more random and kind of spontaneous, chaotic, interesting. So usually it starts at 0.5 because it's a good average. But if you want to play around with something, you want something really random and interesting, go higher. If you want it to act in accordance with your prompting very specifically, try a lower number and play around. See the different types of responses you can get with the same model with different temperatures. Similarly, the max tokens is another important one to keep in mind, because this will dictate how long their message will be in response. So for example, if I say the max tokens are only 10, it will only send back 10 tokens, which can help make sure you're not spending a lot of money on large language model calls, but 10 is not very much. So if I'm going to send a really random request for the same question and have only 10 tokens as a response, you'll see that it gives you a very small output and it doesn't even get to finish before the 10 tokens are hit. So to be safe, you might want to do something like 100 and then send. Now, the max tokens doesn't necessarily mean, excuse me. Now the max tokens, it doesn't mean that that's how long it will be. It can be less than that, but it just guarantees that it won't go more than 100 tokens. For example, this was 100 tokens. Again, it cuts out before the end of its response. So depending on what you're trying to do and how much you want it to respond, you're going to want to have different max tokens. And that is a very, very simple agent that can basically call an LLM and respond to you in the way that you prompt it in a chat interface.